Hello, classmates. I am Teacher Go. Today we will discuss strategic planning and market orientation in marketing. In this section, we will mainly cover a few topics. First, we'll talk about strategy and tactics. Second, we'll discuss the process of strategic planning. Third, we'll delve into market orientation in the strategic planning process. Let's start with the first topic, strategy and tactics. What is strategy? Strategy refers to the comprehensive considerations and coordinated plans made by businesses to achieve predetermined goals. Students, when you encounter this concept, it's important to note that strategy is about the bigger picture. It tends more towards the conceptual and is more about providing guidance. So, a very comprehensive explanation is provided here, including the knowledge of comprehensive consideration and coordinated planning. Meaning, in strategic planning, it's not just about focusing on the minutiae or just one process. It involves an overall and coordinated approach. Tactics are the specific actions taken to achieve a goal. Here, a key term is specific. Meaning, for tactics, we need to provide specific guidance. How to implement this strategy? So it's very specific. Strategy can feel a bit abstract, a little empty, perhaps, while tactics feel more concrete, more real. That's the perception. But without strategy, your tactics have no foundation. And without tactics, your strategy can never be grounded. So this discussion highlights the relationship between strategy and tactics. Here's a statement we can reflect upon. To understand their differences, strategy is about how to win, winning the war. How to come out on top in the war, but exactly how to win. That's the realm of tactics. For example, tactics deal with how to win a specific battle within the war, like taking a specific place. The US, for instance, would have had a strategy to win the war in Afghanistan. Within that war in Afghanistan, there would be smaller battles, like in a certain place, a village they believed harbored terrorists. They aim to eliminate those terrorists. That would be one of the battles. What tactics should I employ? Is it a flanking maneuver, encirclement tactics, or a siege? Identify the key figures and neutralize them first. In short, to win this battle. Strategy, of course, is about the overall, but after 20 years, it wasn't one, indicating a failure in the US strategy. Next, the strategic planning process. Planning involves the company and its business units within the company and their various business units for survival and development, creating a long-term overall strategy and a series of significant steps. What does it include? First, we must define our company's mission. What is our company's mission? A company without beliefs or a mission will eventually disperse because it lacks cohesion. So, in the strategic planning process, the first step is to determine our mission. For example, for the development of China's information industry, to create top-notch information products for China and the world. This is my information mission. This is also considered a mission. Then, next, we need to set goals. These goals are for fulfilling the mission. For instance, we aim to create high-end. What kind of graphics card do we want to make? We want to make a very large, very powerful, high-frequency graphics card. This means we identify one of the smaller objectives. Then it's time to arrange the business portfolio. At this point, how these businesses revolve around the goal, how the business portfolio will achieve these goals. Finally, we need to formulate new business plans to utilize this one, to realize all the preceding elements. Okay, let's discuss the specifications. What should we focus on in the corporate mission? What factors do we need to consider? First, the company's historical standout features. New startups may not have a history, but many companies may have started small, from a workshop or from personal entrepreneurship, growing bit by bit. At this time, we still need to consider some past, historical standout features. What characteristics does my company have? For example, I'm good at capturing resources. I excel at marketing. In short, highlight your distinctive features. Bring out your strengths. I've accumulated a lot of technological strength. These factors must be considered. Second, the intent of top management. At this point, it's important to note, because top management holds the resources and the authority to allocate them. At this time, we must fully understand the intentions of top management. If what we do contradicts or goes against the intentions of top management, it could easily be rejected. Next is changes in the surrounding environment. This environment includes both macro and micro environments. It's important to note, this environment is not only what we can directly perceive, but also includes latent factors that must be taken into account, such as the company's resource situation. You may have ambition and courage, and various grand plans, but if you find your resources cannot support this, clearly, your corporate mission cannot be achieved. Next is the company's unique capabilities. This factor, along with the previous one, must be considered together. What unique attributes have we accumulated historically? What sets us apart? What is our unique offering? Next, the conditions a corporate mission statement should meet. Based on these, we are likely to form something written. To put it on paper, first and foremost, we must be market-oriented. We can't just imagine things out of thin air without considering the market. If what you create in the end cannot satisfy the market, then your mission is merely a pipe dream. Next, it has to be feasible. It must be implementable. Also, it needs to be motivational. This is very important when we're writing it. A key point to pay special attention to. If your mission statement is bland and forgettable, everyone will forget it as soon as they've seen it. Then your mission statement actually fails to inspire. It fails to truly motivate. At the very least, it should make people feel a surge of collective passion, a sense of mission. Missions should instill a sense of purpose, making you feel compelled to do a good job in fulfilling them. This needs to be specific, clear, and not written in vague generalities. Secondly, let's discuss the company's specific objectives. The company's objectives should consider both the internal and external environments. As we've already mentioned, setting the company's objectives is followed by strategy formulation. Then, it's about defining these projects and finally implementing them. Lastly, it involves feedback control. This is a process. When setting corporate objectives, we should start from this point, beginning with the company's mission, considering both the internal and external environments. Then we set the objectives. After objectives are set, we formulate strategies and then define the projects. Once projects are defined, we start implementing. It's crucial to remember not to overlook the final step. This is called closed-loop management. Your process must include feedback and control. Without feedback, without correction, there will be deviations in the implementation of the objectives. Now, students, the third point in the strategic process is to arrange the business portfolio. This topic involves the division of strategic business units, or SBUs, and SBU, or strategic business unit. What are its characteristics? First, it must have an independent business, or a set of related businesses, meaning the strategic business units. Business operations should be relatively independent, not mixed with other units, or it undertakes a group of related businesses. It cannot be mixed with others, or it's responsible for a group of related businesses. Second, it must have a distinct mission. For this strategic business unit, each different strategic business unit should have a different mission. If the same mission is given to different business units, it will lead to overlaps in work and unclear divisions of responsibility. Third, there must be competitors to ensure such strategic business units remain dynamic and competitive. Fourth, a responsible and committed management team is essential for a train to run fast. It all depends on the engine at the front. If the management team lacks a serious and responsible attitude, this business unit is very likely to slack off or deviate during the execution of strategic plans. Fifth, control over necessary resources is required, be it human, financial, or marketing resources. You must have access to and be able to mobilize various resources to support its goals. They should be deployable to support its own objectives. Sixth, it should benefit from strategic planning. with plans that yield tangible benefits. After achieving certain benefits, it will support the SPA's sustainability and development. Seventh, it can independently plan other activities, meaning, for this strategic business unit, it has certain rights to independently make some plans without always being influenced by others. This autonomy ensures that when implementing these strategic plans later, we won't be hindered. This will be beneficial for us in the future when executing these strategic plans. In arranging our business portfolio, one common method we use is called the Boston Matrix method. This method discusses issues from two dimensions. One is market growth rate, and the other is market share. That is, the rate of market dominance. In terms of growth rate, if the growth rate is particularly high, and the market share is also very high, our strategic unit would be considered a star business. Why? Because the market's growth rate is exceptionally high, and the market share is high as well. You can imagine. This is something companies dream of. The second type is the cash cow. What's characteristic of this category? The distinctive feature of this category is that it has a particularly high market share, but the growth rate has already stabilized at this point for the company. Since the market growth rate is lower, we don't need to invest a lot of capital into this market anymore. At this time, it will continuously generate cash for the company. With a high market share, this becomes a cash cow for the company. However, this market share, can also present some temptations. This aspect is often covered in marketing studies. Discussing this topic, it's called the question mark category. What are its characteristics? It has a high market growth rate, but its market share is particularly low. The market share is very low. At this time, we need to analyze why it has high growth but low share. We need to question and analyze what exactly is happening in this market. And this one is called the dog category. For this category, we can essentially abandon this market. What are its characteristics? It has a very low market share and a low growth rate. At this time, for a company, this category can be discarded because it neither brings significant cash flow nor captures market share. Essentially, this type of market should be abandoned. Now, on to the fourth point. We need to develop a new business plan. Business plans need to look at two dimensions. What elements do these include? Based on our existing products and markets, they are divided into market penetration strategies and product development strategies. Market penetration strategy and product development strategy. For existing products in the current market, we employ a penetration strategy. But for existing products in a new market, we use a development strategy, because this is a new market, a market we've newly discovered. Whether our existing products can fully adapt to this market is something we need to explore. We then proceed with market development for new products in the existing market. What we do is product development. Students, please note, this is called product development and this is called market development. Here, we are developing the market because it's a new market that we haven't captured yet. We need to develop the market. This product doesn't exist in the current market, so we go on to develop the product. For new products in new markets, we attempt it because we can't clearly define what strategy it exactly requires. Therefore, this is called a diversification strategy. Students, now on to the fourth point, formulating a new business plan. We have several approaches called integrated growth strategies. They are divided into backward integration, forward integration, and horizontal integration. We are talking about what approach we should use to achieve this kind of business growth. Firstly, backward integration, which means my company acquires or takes over the raw material suppliers into our own hands. This is backward integration. Forward integration involves taking wholesalers and retailers into our own hands. We undertake these operations ourselves. This is called forward integration. Horizontal integration, I take over another company forming a strategic alliance or merging with them. In this way, our businesses, even though they are the same, both domestically and internationally of the same type, even though our businesses are the same, eventually we form an alliance. In this situation, everyone forms a unified entity, so this strategy is called horizontal integration. Besides the integration growth we just discussed, now let's talk about diversified growth. This is divided into concentric diversification, horizontal diversification, and conglomerate diversification. Concentric diversification, for instance, an automobile manufacturer, adding similar products, like going from making cars to producing tractors, while horizontal diversification, a fertilizer manufacturing company, adding pesticides. Students should remember, these are different types now. Fertilizers and pesticides have become different types. And conglomerate diversification involves merging with or purchasing other businesses, or investing in them to take a stake. This is known as conglomerate diversification. The third type is market orientation. Market orientation, let's first look at early stage analysis. How the marketing department can contribute to these strategic plans. At this time, we analyze our market orientation further. First, the contribution of the marketing department to strategic plans can identify new products and market opportunities, as marketers are very sensitive. They can provide this information to the company. Second, evaluate each new opportunity. Third, develop a marketing plan for each new opportunity. These are tasks the marketing department can accomplish. Then, they are responsible for each plan in the market, as it's a core duty of the marketing department itself. Being able to evaluate situations as they arise and take corrective measures when necessary is something the marketing department can easily do. In fact, the marketing department is often the most active within a company. So, the meaning of market orientation is divided into macro and micro perspectives. Macro is from the overall perspective, focusing on economic mechanisms and operating rules. Micro emphasizes the level of individual enterprises, the micro entities. So, market orientation, generally, is defined from both macro and micro dimensions. Within this, there are two orientations: a behavioral view of market orientation and a cultural view of market orientation. The main point is whether to center on the customer or on the competitor. That is, this kind of market orientation. Am I customer-oriented or competitor-oriented? Am I catering to customer needs or just aiming to simply defeat the competitor? In the operational process of a company, initially, everyone tends to be customer-oriented, believing that they should study customer needs, customer opinions, and suggestions. But during operation, many companies lean towards being competitor-oriented. In fact, in many companies, shift from being customer-oriented to being competitor-oriented occurs. Why? Because competitors can potentially inflict significant harm on the company. This leads executives of a company to focus predominantly on competitors, necessitating a shift of most of their efforts towards this focus. This shift can cause some companies to face issues, no longer being customer-oriented. Therefore, it's worth noting that companies with a high level of market orientation often have better financial performance. Market orientation, customer satisfaction, and the company's financial performance are all directly related. At this point, students must pay attention. When we go into companies in the future, we should focus most of our competitive efforts on how to meet customer needs. being able to better meet customer needs. Essentially also means defeating the competitors, or at least to a certain extent. Here, we need to pay attention to one thing: the culture of market orientation, how marketing resources are allocated, the impact on marketing performance, and ultimately, how it affects financial performance. In this section, we've covered these topics, talking about strategy and tactics, the process of strategic planning, and finally, we discussed the various market orientations and market behaviors within the strategic planning process. Students, thank you all. That concludes this lesson.